Stoned Lore is a series where video games are recapped from memory after consuming high amounts of marijuana. This means that the lore and story could get a bit jumbled along the way. That is the fun of the series. No script was used in the making of this video. All marijuana used was purchased and consumed legally under state law. One of my favorite games growing up, ToeJam and Earl, is truly a fever dream. It's about two aliens, ToeJam and Earl, as you could tell by the title, who, when flying their spaceship around, ToeJam let Earl drive, and it ended in disaster when they crash landed on Earth. Their representation of Earth is out there, it's bizarre, and you can play through this game with like a random mode on, where each of the levels are randomized, and so it's like a new game every time you play it. Or for this playthrough, I'm going to go through the fixed world because I know where things are a bit more, and it's a bit more contained, so I can get through the playthrough here. But it's truly a fantastic game, one of my favorites growing up. So let's check out some ToeJam and Earl. The mission of the game is to get back the various pieces of your spaceship, put them back together once you find them on Earth, and then get the heck out of town. That is the total name of the game when it comes to ToeJam and Earl. Along the way, you can find presents that will help you in this quest and sometimes hinder your progression when it comes to hurting you or giving you some bad effects. There's a few presents that do that, but most of all, you'll get things like rocket skates, or my personal favorite, Icarus wings, where you can fly around for a short period of time. But you have to watch out for, quote, earthlings. They may take the form of a devil, or Cupid, or a mob of people, or a mom pushing a shopping cart, or a guy mowing the lawn, or a mad scientist. These characters will hurt you. My least favorite being the fake mailbox that comes out and he comes out and gets you. He can do a lot of damage right away. So those are the various hazards that we deal with. Each level has an elevator. You find the elevator on the level to go up to the next level. And every once in a while, a level will have a ship piece that we can find and add to our collection. So that's the basics of the ToeJam and Earl gameplay. Like I said about the lore when it comes to ToeJam and Earl, ToeJam and Earl are both aliens from a planet called Funkatron. They were flying around, crashed a ship. I'm playing through as ToeJam. With ToeJam, you are a bit quicker, and with Earl, you're a bit slower, but Earl has a little bit more health. He's a little bit more tanky. Other than that, there's not much difference. But ToeJam's always been my favorite, so playing through with him, and it's quite the adventure. Level 2 was the first level to have a ship piece for me, which happened to be the windshield of the spaceship, a very important part of the flying mechanism, I would say. You got to keep that wind out of your face. But it reminds me, after picking up a few presents in level 2, that if you go down to level 1, you can go to my favorite level in the entire game if you have the right power-up. I usually use Icarus wings, but you can use rocket skates as well. You can find a hole in level 1 that will let you drop down to level 0. This has a hot tub, a bunch of hula girls, a lemonade stand that'll level you up. I forgot to mention level ups. So you level up through various points of the game by doing different things. I've actually never really sat down and figured out how you level up, but it seems to be tied with using power-ups, popping enemies with tomatoes and such, and getting ship pieces and advancing. It could just be total time played as well. But it goes up. The levels are like, ToeJam is a doofus, ToeJam is a bro, ToeJam is a Poindexter, ToeJam is a dude. They give you these different names for levels, so you'll see that throughout the gameplay as well. But each level raises your health bar a little bit, and then you also gain lives, which is represented by little red stars next to your life bar. So every once in a while those things will happen. But we go down to level 0. Usually you can jump into the hot tub with the hula girls, but for some reason it wasn't letting me do that here. which was very disappointing. That's my favorite part of being down there. But drinking lemonade leveled me up, and we're back off to the races. After going through a few levels with no ship pieces, level 6 finally had one, and it would turn out to be the left megawatt speaker, which is pretty important if you're from a planet called Funkatron. The levels get pretty big as we go. I don't know if it's necessarily they get bigger as you go, but they certainly start to get big and never stop. You'll start to see ship pieces way on the other side of the maps, and we have to walk to that, and then the elevators on the other side of the map, and the maps can get pretty big. But yes, level 6 had a ship piece, and we wouldn't see another ship piece until level 10, which was the super Funko-matic amplimator. Amplimator. Super Funko-matic amplimator. Terrific names for these ship pieces, and we're still just going. One of the things I really enjoy about old Sega Genesis games is the water graphics. It goes for a game called Sparkster as well. I think Sparkster was on the Genesis. It could have been on the Super Nintendo. So let's hope I'm correct. But Sonic the Hedgehog, I know, was on the Genesis as well. In that first level, what is it, Green Hill Zone in Sonic the Hedgehog, and you see all the water in the background. I've always loved that. I think it looks beautiful. And you get a lot of the cool retro graphics here as well with ToeJam and Earl. I especially like the water. And so it's always nice to see the water, but at the same time, it's always nice not to see the water because, or it's always not nice to see the water because you run out of breath, which is just your life bar, pretty quickly. A lot of times there's sharks in it that are going to get you, and some of the levels require you to do like a bunch of jumps to get to the elevator to get up to the thing, and it can just be absolutely nightmarish. And level 10 is actually one of those where it's like little tiny islands that they want you to hop and get to the elevator at the center, and it is a nightmare. But making it through, get back up to more of the levels. 11, not much going on, but level 12 would have the amplimator connector fin, small little fin that goes on top of the spaceship, ties the whole thing together up there. The next few levels, again, more looking for presents, dodging boogeymen, dodging ice cream trucks and other things like that. Just the crazy amount of enemies from the Earthlings coming at you. But 15 would have the forward stabilizing unit, and we would get that and the rear leg on level 17. And stuff starts to get a little rough around these levels when it comes to ToeJam and Earl. But making it to level 20, as you would guess, there is a spaceship piece on that with the fixed world. And we got the awesome snowboard. So the whole bottom of the spaceship is ready to go. And right up next with level 21 would be the Righteous Rap Master capsule. So like pretty much the whole thing is built. There's a few little pieces left over, but overall we're right up there getting everything together. 23 would have the right megawatt speaker, and we are just missing one of the thrusters on the back for the ship to actually be in motion, and we're pretty much almost done. Now you may think to yourself, well, I mean, like, it's a pretty short playthrough, pretty short rundown. Yes, games back in the day, games didn't last hours and hours and hours unless you let them, for the most part. I remember just immersing myself in this world, and it may seem weird to people who weren't around in those time periods and the games that we immerse ourselves in now, but it was very easy for me to pretend to be ToeJam and just walk around the world in ToeJam and Earl when I was a kid. I never beat the game when I was a child playing it on my Sega Genesis. I lived with my dad in an apartment, and when he was at work, I'd get home from school or something, and he was at work for a few more hours. I kept myself entertained by playing the Genesis, and ToeJam and Earl was always at the top of my list when it came to the games that I just actually felt the word to use is immersed in, but back then I didn't think of it that way. I was just pretending to be ToeJam in this world, walking around, dodging Earthlings because you couldn't really interact with them, and just existing on, you know, this in this universe that they've created, which is, it's such a marvelous universe. And of course, ToeJam and Earl's had many iterations after this one. We had Panic on Funkatron after this, ToeJam and Earl Mission to Earth, the third one, ToeJam and Earl 3, which is on Xbox, the original Xbox. I do have a copy of, maybe I'll cover that one day. And we also have Back in the Groove, which came out a few years ago, and looks fantastic. The art in Back in the Groove is great. But regardless, this is the one that started it all, and I've always loved this world. Not so much Panic on Funkatron. That really wasn't my cup of tea. They turned the game into like a 2D side scroller. But the original ToeJam and Earl, seriously top tier stuff. Level 25 is going to be the last level of ToeJam and Earl. And this is where we'll find the Hyper Funk Thruster. And as soon as we collect that part, the ship is complete. ToeJam leaves Earth, and we see him flying around. We get the credits. But it's not over yet, because right after the credits, we return to Funkatron, and we can kind of walk around this world and see all of ToeJam's family and the countrymen. I don't know what to, like, fellow Funkatronians. I don't know what you'd call them. But you can walk through, and, you know, everybody's celebrating you coming back. The grass is purple and the water is lightened in color to like a teal. It's beautiful. Big flowers everywhere. And then once we get to the end, Earl is there. He's like, "What took you so long?" and both ToeJam and Earl's family are celebrating at the end of the yellow brick road. I call it, it looks like a gold road, but the yellow brick road in Funkatron. It's a great ending to a spectacular game. Like I said, it's a bit on the short side. Recapping it, there's not much to recap. You go through, you grab presents, you can pop some Earthlings. I could spend 10 minutes talking about each level or something like that, but it's not about like, I'm not trying to stretch this out. It's just a really good game. Actually, I'd like to use this episode of Stoned Lore to just tell people to play this. You can play this on I'm pretty sure, I don't know about Sony consoles. But I know on Xbox, well, ToeJam and Earl Back in the Groove, you could play that. But if you want to play this OG one, it's on the Switch. I think it's on the Genesis Virtual Console. Then you also have it on Xbox. Like, it's an SVC title, ToeJam and Earl. Check it out at all costs, man. It's a really fun little game with terrific characters. At one point you can find, I didn't during this playthrough, but you can find Santa and like shake presents out of him, and it's really, really good. It's a good game. So that is ToeJam and Earl, the lore of and the playthrough recap. Thank you for joining me in talking about one of my favorite games. Always, I've been seeing your guys' comments suggesting games. It doesn't matter what the game is. If you think it's a silly suggestion, it doesn't matter. Always leave a comment if you think, hey, it'd be fun to listen to your recap that. If I haven't played the game before, that's, you know, who cares? Like, I'm always looking for fun things to do, and you guys are the ones watching these. So if you want to see things featured in Stoned Lore, make sure to let me know, or I won't know that you want to see them. I know that I've seen a lot of people want some more Metal Gear, and that's coming, so don't you worry. Anyways, I thank you for watching Stoned Lore, and I will catch you on the next episode of Stoned Lore.